morning, everyone. Good morning. Have you taken your coffee? I think the only person I didn't see taking a coffee is Rosa, because I just saw you. I hope you had a chance to take your coffee. But we will need some more energy because it's in the morning and we are starting this. So, karibuni sana Nairobi. My name is Viku Karaoke. I will be the moderator for this session. And I am a journalist and a filmmaker of many years. And I'm very happy to introduce you to this session, a very important upcoming issue on circular economy. So I invite you to be vibrant. I invite you to engage as much as possible. We have a great team of experts here. So feel energized to belong to this one. So we are here to talk and learn about circular economy. What is circular economy and how is it being implemented here in Africa? And to start us off, the majority of economic system in the world today is based on a linear use of raw materials, that of a society of rapid and mass consumption of the disposable. Extract, transform, use, and throw away. However, this model is no longer sustainable. In the long term, given the environmental and climatic challenges facing the planet with limited resources. Moreover, the sectoral effects of this productivist model from a socio-economic, health, geopolitical point of view are well known. In a context where actors of the African continent are invited to accelerate industrialization and job creation, a new model must be implemented. The new model is circular economy. And we are all here to dive deep on this model of circular economy and how this model is going to be and should be improved and made successful here in Africa. We are storytellers, a majority of us, plus now our experts. And therefore, we have to tell people how this is working or can work better. We have experts to guide us. And this is why we are all here to improve our storytelling on matters circular economy and also peer learn on best practices from different parts of the continent that we come from. Karibuni sana Kenya. Welcome to Nairobi. For those people who arrived in the night, we didn't have a chance of meeting yesterday. And let us all use this great opportunity to make things better than they are right now. For our journalists, because you are here now and everything is set for you, from Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Uganda, Ghana, and Nigeria, we expect you to maximize this opportunity to learn, interact, and arm yourself for your next big story. So we have our online audience, and I'm sure we'll be having a little more people joining us. So to our online audience, most welcome and kindly adhere to our rules of engagement, which are just two. And one is that we'll give you a chance to give short contributions or answer or ask questions. And then if you need to confirm anything else, please don't do it on the session. You can talk directly to Julian or on the chat box so that we make this very smooth. So with us here this morning, for our opening session are very valued speakers. And we are very, very, very happy that you could get a moment to join us. We welcome you to our stage here. Victor Guerra is going to join us online. And then Anita Silo is going to appear later on because she's held up somewhere. She'll appear later on after lunch in our session. But I would want to invite our guests in the room here. I know you know yourselves, so I would want to invite you to come over to the opening ceremony podium. Rosa, because you are a host, you can show the way. But kindly take your way to our podium. Enrique wants to have a brief opening session. We'll give you a few minutes to tell us about yourself and also tell the journalists, communicate to the journalists and try to tell them also how this is important. The whole circular economy is almost needs a lot of beef up from different circles. So I will introduce Hector now. We are starting this off. So I'll introduce Hector to start this for us. Hector, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. So you can take it on. Tell us briefly about your role and then dive into it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hector Guerra, and it is an honor and a great pleasure to deliver these opening remarks on behalf of Africa 21. Africa 21 is a Geneva-based civil society organization specialized on the sustainable development of Africa, working with partners from all over the continent and in the multilateral arena. We welcome all of our participants to this Nairobi 2023 Circular Economy Workshop, and I would like to express our gratitude to our partners in the organization of this event: the British High Commission, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the Africa Circular Economy Network, the Africa Legal Network, and the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. Represented in this opening section by my fellow panelists, Anita Ciro, Enrique Pancini, Christo Van Schalkvi, Rosa Ndoati Motero, and Josephine Vavira, respectively. The objective of this event is to raise awareness about the circular economy and its elements, including actors, programs, initiatives, and innovations. And we aim to achieve this by tackling the following topics: sustainable sourcing, eco-design, industrial and territorial economy, functional economy, responsible consumption, extending the useful life of products, improving waste prevention. We trust the insight presented by our excellent speakers in this workshop will lead to a dynamic discussion and produce useful takeaways for everyone. We wish you all the best over the next 4 days. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting us. Big thanks to ALN for the second time now being a great partner in supporting this environmental diplomacy work that UNCTAD and many other partners are leading on the reform of the plastic systems and generally of production systems. My name is Enrique Passini. I work for UNCTAD Secretariat for quite a few years now. We also work on the Sustainable Manufacturing and Environmental Pollution Program, the initiative which is sponsoring or co-sponsoring this event today, which is around 26 million pounds initiative focused on creating practical examples of circularity across Africa and South Asia. Just for an idea, there are 9 sponsored projects in Africa. One of them here in Kenya, the Flip Flop project, here represented. And there are projects in Ghana, in Nigeria, South Africa, and various angles of reforming the plastic systems. We also have new projects sponsored by the SMAP program working on the leather sector, textiles, and also reform of the lead acid recycling of batteries, which is a very problematic sector related to e-mobility. Very happy to be here today. I think the role of communicators is essential. As some of you have noticed, I posted some thoughts on LinkedIn yesterday that we often talk to government or umbrella groups of industries, which is a couple of notches distanced from the average person in the street, the school child outside, the baker, the nurse, as my mom is. So the role of communicators, journalists, be them in radio, TV, print media, digital media, is absolutely essential for people to get a grasp of what the circular economy really can be in their lives, how they can engage in that type of markets, which used to be very common in the past, now not so much, but we are hopefully getting back there. And the role of communicators is essential to sensitize the general population to create demand for political action reforms in this area. So with our project portfolio and our policy work, and we'll discuss that a lot during the week, we hope to make a small contribution. But I'm really happy that with the support of ALN, especially of Africa 21, of the Kenyan partners, the Kenyan Industry Alliance, Flip-Floppy project, and the FCDO, so the UK government, this is happening today. I'll confess to you, it's not easy to put together a sponsorship package to bring communicators. I have many friends, childhood friends, who are journalists, and they complain about the discrepancy between the crucial need for good primary information produced by professional journalists, and the lack of support that sometimes we see in this sector. So we hope to make a very small difference in this today. Thank you.
So honoring you with your presence here. We know that we have an aggressive group of communicators here, and they are looking forward to telling very, very awesome stories. And with you people as the experts, we know we are not lost. So we are going to move on to Crystal, who is in the operations team, Africa Circular Economy Network, ACEN. Crystal, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome, and kindly join in and tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Excellent. I'm glad to do that. So, like the introduction said, I'm Christopher van Schalkwyk. I'm based in South Africa, and I'm part of the African Circular Economy Network, or ACEN for short, as most people know us. So ACEN, as ACEN, we are delighted to be a part of this workshop, and with over 500 circular economy experts in 42 African countries, we are deeply ingrained in circular economy in South Africa on many fronts. So the concept of circular economy is such an important topic in the time we find ourselves in. The implication of switching from a linear to a circular approach extends way beyond the environment, as most of us will know, and it touches socioeconomic factors, job creation, health, and so much more. So for this reason, I think a workshop like this is crucial to inform the people who needs to carry the message forward to the masses. So looking at the well put together agenda, you'll gain some insight on African legislation, financing mechanisms, standards, and this will allow you to become a more informed and empowered communicator on this transformative concept. So the aim, excuse me, the aim is to equip you with knowledge and understanding needed to report effectively on circular economy matters, to contribute to policy discussions and inspire change in your respective regions. So there's an exciting agenda ahead featuring distinguished speakers and sessions, and I encourage you to actively participate, because that's the best way of learning, is to get engaged and participating and share your perspectives and make the most of this invaluable opportunity to delve deeper into the circular economy. We would like to express our gratitude as well to all the other esteemed partners that have been mentioned so far, without whom this workshop will not be possible. So I hope you guys find this workshop valuable and can incorporate learnings in your journey ahead. Throughout the day, I'll share some information about ACEN specifically, so please connect with us and to keep up with circular economy matters in Africa specifically. Thank you and have a great workshop.
So, Rosa, the field is yours now.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Habari zenu? Mko salama? Karibu Kenya. Good. A lot of you will have heard the king last week. He had quite a number of Kiswahili words. Quite impressive, isn't it? I was showing that to my two boys. I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I'm like, if the king can speak Kiswahili, you will too. Welcome to ALN. I hope so far we have given you a warm reception. Have we? Have we? Oh, good. And a big thank you to our team, our head of business development, Carlotta at the back. You've met her already, isn't it? We have Derek also, who's helping us at the back. And then we have Edwin, who's helping us with the sound. But on behalf of ALN Kenya and Njala Nkana, we really welcome you. This is our home. This is where we come to hide. I thought, should I muffle the kids and close the windows? And I thought, it's fine, yeah? It's fine. They are playing and they're having break. They'll go back into their classes and it will be a bit quiet. But just to explain as an introduction, because I'll be speaking to you later this afternoon, and I'm really looking forward to that session when we talk about the law in Africa and what it is doing around the circular economy. But for now, just to tell you a bit about us and the farm. So I'm Rosa Ndwati Mutero. I'm managing partner here at Anjala & Kana. I've been here now for 21 years. I practice corporate law, mergers and acquisitions, capital markets. I also do governance. And as Anjala & Kana, we are the largest law firm in East and Central Africa. We have about 120 lawyers in Nairobi and Mombasa. So that is in Kenya. And then we are founder members of ALN. So what you hear as ALN was founded by us. And by that, we are now in 15 countries in Africa. And also we have an office in Dubai, UAE, which is really our gateway into Africa for Middle East and Asia businesses. And so as ALN, and given that footprint, and given the opportunity that we have been given to be the leading law firm here in Kenya, and also the leading alliance in Africa, we've asked ourselves, what do we have in our hand? What can we do? What we can draw beautiful contracts, we put big transactions together, and in that way we make the commerce world move. But is that enough? Is there anything else that we can do? And so through our corporate social responsibility initiatives, and through our pro bono initiatives, we have taken up climate change. We have taken up the eradication of unnecessary single-use plastics as one of our anchor initiatives in which we can make a difference. How do we do this? We've done this through several ways. So with partners such as UNCTAD, ICL, we've now been hosting and ensuring that there's communication that happens where there's exchange of ideas, and those exchange of ideas can then go to places bigger than ourselves, where we cannot reach as ALN. Other people then can go and reach there. So just facilitating that, we do that through ALN Academy, and ALN Academy is where we provide thought leadership and also ensure there's exchange of ideas. So that's one thing we have done. The second thing we have done is thought, what are we good at and what are we best at? So we are good at interpreting laws. We are good at policy making and legislative drafting. And so we thought we can also take that and give it as our contribution. And so for the past 4 to 5 years, we've taken up the eradication of single-use plastics as an initiative. What have we done with it? We've partnered with UNCTAD and Flip Floppy to come up with a report that maps out what countries in Africa, in different parts of Africa, have done in terms of eradicating unnecessary single-use plastics. And then we thought, when we went through that process and saw what was happening, we realized that there's much more that needs to be done. A lot of countries are trying to put their best foot forward, but really not enough is being done. So we thought about how else can we influence it. So we came up with a draft East Africa legislation on the ban of unnecessary single-use plastics. We drafted it ourselves from scratch. We did the drafting, and then with that draft, we have gone to different stakeholders and asked them to improve it, to speak into it, and to get it into a place where it can be passed by the East Africa Legislative Assembly. Why the East Africa Legislative Assembly? We thought that, you know, we have a law in Kenya against single-use plastics. Those of you who are journalists in Kenya will know that. You'll know that Rwanda is miles ahead of the other countries in the East African region with what they have done in this area. Whilst the other countries, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, DRC, have tried, they are not at the same level. And so we thought if we pass this law at the East Africa Legislative Assembly, it will influence all the 7 countries. Do you think that was a better idea rather than go into each country? And so earlier this year, we had members of parliament from all those 7 countries in the East Africa Legislative Assembly. We took them through the draft. We have refined it with REMA, which is the Rwanda Environmental Management Authority, and the Kenya National Environmental Management Authority. On Friday, Carlotta and I will be going to the East Africa Legislative Assembly to speak to the Committee on Agriculture and Environment in Moshi, because we can now go to the place where we can introduce it to the council, because we want it to go in as a council bill. And that will mean that once it is passed, all the 7 countries have to then follow it. And then we think that that's good for East Africa. What can we do for the rest of Africa? So last year, together with the ICL, we had a workshop for the Southern Africa members of parliament to take them through this whole same process so that they can create the bill, take the draft we have, they can use it, they can amend it, and then they can pass it in SADC. So just the little that we can do a step at a time, because as long as it can have impact, that is what we would want to do. So this workshop, you can imagine, is very exciting for us as ALN, because when I got through, I insisted that Tuku sends us the profiles of everyone in the room. And I took time this weekend to go through each of your profiles. And I need to tell you, I was very impressed. Actually, I wrote to the team and I told them there's nothing we can tell these people. They are specialists in environment, which is really good. And so what we'd like to have is conversations. I saw the passion with which each of you, I even looked up some of your articles just to see what's your style of writing, what is it that you write about. And I was so excited to see many of you have won many prestigious awards. I tried to list them until I got tired. I was like, okay, get to sleep. I saw the Annual Journalist Excellence Award. I saw the African Women in Media Award. I saw the Social Enterprise Journalist Award. I saw the Mark Foundation Award. I mean, it went on and on and on. And so really, Enrique Tuku, I think we have the right people in the room to have this conversation. And that is why today is very exciting, and the week that is ahead of us as we look at this important topic of the circular economy. Thank you.
Wow, let's appreciate Rosa as well, as you also appreciate yourself for being our winners. So yeah, I agree with you. We have the best team here, and you're going to pick the best as we go to Josephine Wawira, the communications lead at KEPSA, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, yeah, talking to us about sustainable, inclusive business, and also how KEPSA is playing in this circular economy.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning. I must say that you all look beautiful. I have recently completed a study in international relations, and I think this is exactly what we mean. It's not always about diplomacy. It's about also community development. And what I do is communications for development. And I think I will start from where Rosa finished. My biggest concern or fear or anxiety was, I don't think these are people who are here to just listen to what is circular economy in terms of definitions. I remember there's an email that came through. I don't know whether it was from Thuku or it was from Julian. It says the participants are aware of what circular economy is or have basic knowledge, but they're not experts. But I think you're all experts in your own rights. And so for me, I'm not going to bore you a lot with blah, blah, blah of what circular economy definition is all about. Plus, I have been seated where you're seated in several occasions, and I know how tasking being in a week-long seminar can be. So you'll be listening to a lot of speeches, a lot of lessons, a lot of speakers. And I just hope that the weather in Nairobi treats you fairly enough to be able to go through it all. But I can assure you that you're at home, all right? our president earlier in August, I think it was in August or September during the Africa Climate Summit, said this is home for all of us. All right. So karibu nyumbani. Like Thuku said, the communications lead at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. So this is an apex body that brings together all the private sector companies in Kenya. Under that, we have the KEPSA Foundation, through which we founded the Sustainable Inclusive Business Kenya, and a program right now that started off as a project but grew into a program that helps businesses and sensitizes businesses to become more sustainable by adopting more circular models in their business strategies. So what we do is, especially in terms of awareness creation and sensitization, and through that we implement different projects, one of which is the Kenya Plastics Pact. Rosa talked about the issue of plastics and the impact that they have in the environment. And Kenya has been on the international map as one of the trailblazers when it comes to legislations that, you know, are towards protecting the environment. And if I can actually name the name of the report that she mentioned, it is East Africans, Let's Unite for Change. And during the curation of that initial report, I remember our participation. And I think it is very important right now that we are all here together, not just as East Africans, but also as Africans at large, because each one of the countries represented here today, we all have best practices that we can benchmark and learn from one another. I think one of the main things that I wanted to bring out this morning was for us to go back to the basics and ask ourselves, why do we do this exactly? You know, what motivates you and I to not do or pick up any other genre in terms of journalism and take on the direction or the path of climate change, sustainability, and now we are talking about circular economy. I think for me, and my career started off as a journalist. So I used to do social development stories. I didn't last long, just 5 years. I was like, I don't think this is for me, the tripods and everything. So I find myself on this other side of the camera now. And it is imperative for us to remind ourselves that it doesn't matter which side of the camera we speak from. The most important thing is that we are speaking one language. And the most important factor is that we are all driven by one vision, that of a more sustainable world, that of a better environment and a better economy for us in this generation and for the generations to come. I hear a lot of people say that what we are living today in this world and the impacts that we have to deal with, they are not our fault. They are the fault of the past. It's the fault of the past generations. So I sit and wonder, when my daughter is talking about the same issue 10, 20 years down the line, will she also have the same mentality that this is my mom's fault and her generation? Or can we actually wake up today and decide to make a difference? I earlier, sometime around this time last year, I sat in a similar seminar in Denmark, and it was very impressive to see what difference it can make, because we have to think at where are we, even as we benchmark internationally. Let's come back and say, from our perspective as Africans, from our perspective as Kenyans, Rwandans, Tanzanians, Ugandans, and all the countries represented here today, what is our local context at the moment? Or are we just going to pick up from what others are doing and copy paste here? Is it going to work if we copy paste? Or do we learn, but then come back home and pick what works and improve on what works best for us, not copy pasting? So even as you learn this week, as you pick up from the different speakers that are going to be attending to you, it is my wish that as you go back home, as you sit down to write your story, you look at what applies to your audience. What is it that they need to know at that moment? What is it that makes sense to them at that moment? And then focus on that. The other thing that I like pushing for is good practices. I don't know who else, or is it just me, who sort of at some point stopped watching mainstream news because it is super depressive. Every day we are talking about, or we are hearing and reading about a disaster here, a murder here, all those stuff, yeah? So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, even as we write, what message do we want to push? Can we, even as we highlight the bad things that are happening, can we take a moment to also focus on the positive changes that we are making? Can we tell stories of communities that are being resilient towards the impacts of climate change, and how are they doing it? If we're looking at governments that are still far behind, for instance, earlier this year I was in a work study trip to Rwanda. I don't know how many Rwandans are represented here. Rwandans? Hi. I went to the Karama village, the model village, and it is a story of the way Rwanda is it's a mountainous country, country of 1,000 hills. But one of the impacts of climate change is that when it rains and it pours, the people at the bottom, they are most impacted by that. Yeah. But then I found some of my colleagues that I went into that trip with focusing so much on, Rwanda is far, far behind from Kenya and other than blah, 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 blah. And I was, guys, can we just at least pick this one story and say the government, I don't know, working with the military, the defense military team, have actually gone ahead and created and built very sustainable villages that are now hosting for free people that are at high risk of the impacts of that climate change impacts in the country, and providing them alternative living for free, plus education in sustainable villages. Isn't that a story worth telling? Why do we have to pick up every other negative thing about it? And isn't there something to learn from that? Can we also look, even as you're saying, Rwanda is economically behind Kenya, yet, but haven't they also picked some of the policies that us as Kenyans have actually put in place and implemented them better environmentally than we have done? So on my way back to the country, I decided not to take a flight, but take the road, because I wanted to see from the perspective of the East African joining together our hands in creating policies that work for all of us, and especially in terms of the single-use plastics. I used the Rwanda-Uganda border, and immediately you would see the difference at the border of Uganda and Rwanda. It's like, I don't even know, like it's like being in a dream and then waking up and realizing, oops. So it's immediately you cross, the plastics are right at your foot, the litter and everything. How many Ugandans are here? Hi, you know what I'm talking about, right? So so I thought to myself, if actually these legislations in East Africa could, have one approach where we all work towards one vision, that would make sure that if I am leaving Rwanda to Uganda and to Kenya and vice versa and all the other countries, then I don't have to feel depressed, because I know it's the same Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda. The cleanliness is the same. The environment, protection is the same. The policies, the laws, the legislations are the same. And then we won't have to have issues of porous borders and all. And for that, I want to wish you all the best. And I look forward to hosting you on Thursday at the Circular Economy Conference, which we are organizing. Thank you very much, and welcome again to Kenya.
All right, asante sana. Asante. Thank you so very much. We are most humbled to have your presence here. I know in a way all of you will be hosting us in other sessions along the week. We are going to the circular economy the 8th. Is it the 8th? at Olesreni. I told you about it yesterday. And for those people who had not arrived, that's what she's just finished referring to. So we are very happy to have you. You know, I think you are